Good morning, family, friends, and fans. Welcome to Maxx Monday Mornings. I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Joe Quinn, who wasn't able to come here today, but is a huge Nintendo fan because that's the discussion we're having for today. More to the point, I'm here with my very good longtime friend, Steve McKinley.
Yeah, how's it going?
And we are here to discuss the recent reveal of Nintendo's newest console to come out next year, the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about this new console. There's been a lot of things, like a lot of cool things that people have been talking about, a lot of concerns people are talking about. So it's definitely going to be a lot to bite into.
Yep. So I think the first way to approach this little discussion is first impressions in like one sentence. For me, the Nintendo Switch got me more excited for a Nintendo console than any other so far.
For me, it would be the Nintendo Switch looks certainly innovative. I look forward to see where it goes. Of course, it will have to look forward to the future to see if it lives up to its hype.
That would not be more than one sentence, but whatever. So, yes, I do agree with you wondering how this new console is going to live up to the hype. Now, first I want to address the point of consoles and why everyone's been really excited about this. So, as you can see here, we have some of the old and new-esque type of consoles from Nintendo. I got my original working order Nintendo Entertainment System, got it autographed from Too Many Games, which is pretty cool. And here I have, of course, the Nintendo Wii, which was, released back in 2008 or something?
2007 or 8, I think. I'm not that certain.
Yeah, it's not that long, but it's also not that soon either. But here's the thing. I think with a lot of people like you, we all have those moments for really classic playing capabilities or just the overall impact a certain console gave us to us. Like for example, a fully functional working NES would cost about anywhere from $80 to $100 or even more so on eBay. I was lucky to get this for $50 at GameStop. But here, as far as Nintendo Wii, that is a console that is bit more dirt cheap in the market, and even then, when you to have some trading capability at GameStop, it's $10-20 or something.
You do have to remember availability and supplies. So the NES is a very old system. So yes, there are going to be people with refurbished, with refurbished consoles or still working order consoles, but the Wii is has much more availability and supply than the NES. So
that's true.
It's a matter of supply and demand.
Well, that is true. But I was also one to remember that the NES is also getting got an anniversary re-release as a much smaller package with over 150 games. And I'm not entirely sure if come 20 years time the Wii will still get that same treatment.
Again, it's something we'll need to look to in the future. That bridge will be crossed when it gets there, so...
Yeah, the point is I'm trying to make here is that as far as Nintendo consoles go, the really truly innovative and memorable types of consoles were the ones that were first initially released. As far as the Wii goes, it had its good games. I'm not going to deny that it had a nice library of games. However, it was nothing more so innovative or different compared to its competitors.
Well, I might have something to say about that. if you compare the Wii's success to perhaps the GameCube and the Wii U, it was still it was much more successful when compared to those two. And the GameCube was basically is 2 generations after the NES. And the Wii itself had some innovation when you think about the motion controller, and that was something a lot of the other consoles like the PS3 and the Xbox 360, they tried to copy that with their PlayStation Move and Kinect, with varying results. The Wii
Oh, well, I think we can agree that the Kinect, it was a bit of a disaster for the Xbox.
Okay, and we can obviously agree on that. Let's move on. Anyways, I'm just saying that the Wii itself did have some degree of innovation. There has always been Nintendo has always focused on like innovation. So it's like now we have so who would think that okay, how about we make a portable console? Okay, let's go with that. How about we put two screens instead of one? Thus the DS was born.
Yeah, I will give you that much. So I do have to say that with the coming of Nintendo Switch, that Nintendo is definitely bringing up their A game with giving a console that will definitely stand out from the rest of the crowd. Because when the Wii U was released, I honestly was not that excited. I mean, it was cool to have like a touchscreen and a ability to like go into another room.
There was also, it also had, despite its like not so stellar lineup, the first party games that came from it, they were pretty good.
Yes, I will say that the games for the Wii U are great, but it was just another Wii console just with a touchscreen. It wasn't nothing too innovative or different from that thing. And as you mentioned, that the Wii U had a bit more higher. That the Wii original had a bit more higher sales than the Wii U, and I think that says a little bit about how people's anticipation for the Wii U was compared to
It was just kind of a meh.
Right, it was a meh thing. But now we have the release of Nintendo Switch, and now we have something that is much more, that is not only a console, but also a portable handheld game, essentially.
That basically seems to be the draw that Nintendo is going for. You can play next-gen quality console games that you don't need to be by your TV or in the same room. You can just grab the whole console and go.
Yeah, so it's basically something that's about the size of an iPad mini, planked into a docking station that, from what I heard, is also as a charging station for
which makes sense
for the screen itself, and then you have to take it out to become its own portable device, which I think is pretty neat.
It is certainly a very interesting way of doing things. I really like how one of my favorite qualities of this console that's been shown so far is just you being able to just click off the sides of your typical controller and then just slot them into the sides of the mini console, and then you kind of have something like the Wii U tablet or like a PSP or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got a very nice system with plenty of options for you to use. You got various controllers, like you got your standard Pro controller. You can separate the pads so that way you kind of have something similar to the Wii Remote and Nunchuck wireless. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's another option. They're providing options, which is very, very cool.
Yeah, I will have to disagree with the whole gimmicky aspect, because essentially when you remove one of the remote, just basically just have like a small like Wii remote, which I think is a bit pretty cool, because it's a handheld that makes handhelds look like more giant remotes.
Possibly. It's another way of looking at it. I'll give you that.
So, let's see. I have here some of the more in-depth information regarding the console. So here we have one of the quotes about the Nintendo Switch. The mobility of a handheld is now added to the power of a home gaming system to enable unprecedented new video game playstyles. Which I definitely got a vibe from for the trailer. And a lot of these other screenshots definitely does give it a lot to it. Of course, I am curious why before the name Nintendo Switch they chose to talk about the NX. I guess next generation or Generation X.
It's just things have code names. So things have project names, and sometimes they don't always stick. That's the way development works. So you have a prototype name, and then you have a final product name that would kind of go out to be used for PR or stuff.
Yep. So, also, from showing in the trailer, that we also have another new Mario game to look forward to, which, from what I can see, is kind of like a new Super Mario World 3D, but a much more colorful and possibly new innovative style.
Yep. So, it's they're coming. for one thing, they're coming out with a lot of new first-party games. Now, kind of jumping off of that, so I mean, like, we do have, like, a lot of those first-party games, that's always a given with Nintendo. But another major thing is that this console is getting tons upon tons, allegedly, of third-party support. So we got Sega, we got From Software, famous for the Dark Souls series and Bloodborne. We got
we have a whole list here.
Yeah, thank you. Capcom, EA Games, Epic Games, Frozen Byte, Platinum Games, Square Enix,
Bethesda,
Ubisoft,
Havoc.
Yep. So Atlas, Bandai Namco. There's a ton. Oh yeah, there's also Konami, but screw them.
And Ubisoft. Let's not forget Ubisoft.
I said that.
Oh right.
But yeah, it's given. There is tons upon tons of potential third-party support. So that shows that even all these developers, they're interested in developing games for this system because, I mean, let's think about it for a sec. With the Wii, you had to take into account, okay, maybe we need to put something with motion controls, or with the Wii U, we have to have something that utilizes the touchscreen. So the Nintendo Switch has none of that stuff. So it provides the developers a little bit more freedom as to like how they want to develop their game. Like they can just like do whatever without having to worry about, oh, we need to take into account the extra touchscreen. We're probably not going to use it that much. We have to use it somehow, or we need to put in motion controls again. So it's just kind of does away with most of that and just says, okay, make the best game you can make, or something like that.
Yeah. Also, in discussion with the controllers, they are called JoyCon controllers. They are malleable and they be used in two hands, like the Wii remote and nunchuck, or you can use it as a single form in the horizontal direction. So Nintendo will be shipping a Pro controller for those who want the feel of an old age peripheral, or a grip peripheral that is made by forming two Joy-Con controllers together and essentially going from one side to the other.
So the way I kind of see it, I mean, like based on like what I've talked about with other friends and fellow gamers and such, I mean, a lot of people, they would probably like prefer the just the old feel, and like because it might be that's just what they're used to. I mean, like but still, it's an option. So.
Yeah, it's an option, and like I personally also found comfortability with holding like the Wii remote on its side for certain games. So as much as I also like the classic like GameCube-esque Pro controller, I'm also a fan of the other side as well. And something that might be small, I'll have to take a gander for that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually talking with some friends who possibly go to PAX East in March next year, so who knows, you might get a chance to check out that system as well.
Yeah. So we've gone through like a lot of the stuff, which like all the positive things. Now, how about we go into some concerns? There are two main concerns that I have at the moment, that off the top of my head. First one is battery life of the small controller, or of the small console, and also backwards compatibility. So with the battery life concern, obviously you need to have a significant amount of battery life for the Switch to really be viable when you go and take it around in its portable mode. So we can't have it like lasting only 2 or 3 hours or something like that. It needs to last I think it personally needs to last like about the same amount as a Nintendo 3DS. Like not the new Nintendo 3DS with like 3DS XL with that huge battery pack, but just a normal old style 3DS. 5 to 6 hours or something like that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I do feel like they might put that into account for, say, like I saw one of the pics that they also have a cartridge for like to put some spare batteries, like a regular like a Game Boy or stuff like that.
That's so?
Yeah, but also seeing how the gaming dock also acts as a charging station, perhaps they can also put that into accountability for regarding to how much charge the overall portable console has. So that's just my theory as to how they're going to handle the whole battery system, but that is a concern. I'm guessing that some of the portable cases, because I'm sure like if DS has their own portable cases, then then the Nintendo Switch will have it as well.
I would assume I would much rather not have to like hold around the portable console in my hand all the time, or have it like jostling around in my backpack where things could get scratched or something like that.
Yeah, I'm guessing that they also might incorporate some sort of like a charging battery port alongside of it. You know, like how some iPhones have those like external battery cases.
Yeah. So that could be a potential accessory or something that would go along with it to like help mitigate like the lack of a constant power source.
Right. Now, as far as backwards compatibility, from what I understand, there's not going to be much of it, since the Nintendo Switch will be working on some cartridges and like memory-esque sticks, kind of like 3DS would.
That's sort of what it looks like at the moment. We're not entirely sure, given what information has been revealed. Nintendo won't be revealing any more information until March, but from what we can gather, at least, I mean, the potential of there being no backwards compatibility with any of the Wii U games or any of the games that ran on disc, that is definitely a real possibility. I mean, there's always been some sort of trend with Nintendo and backwards compatibility, like with all their consoles in with all their TV and portable consoles. So they've always typically could run games from the previous generation. So the Wii could run GameCube games, the Wii U could run Wii games, and the 3DS can run DS games and all that. So if they're planning on going so far with that with the portable aspect of the Nintendo Switch, I mean, like, I really do not see much room for putting discs on there to keep that portable feel. You need to install the CD reader and all that. It's going to make it that much heavier.
Yeah, but what I personally think might happen would be, like, if they can't do personal compatibility, this is just my theory, but they could possibly go in the route of, say, like, collections. Like, having multiple games on, like, a certain multiple cartridges as opposed to having just, like, for one. Like, for example, for example's sake, say, like, the Game Boy Advance games of the Mega Man Zero series.
Mega Man Zero collection.
Yeah, the Mega Man Zero collection for the DS. You got 4 games in one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking that if they can make an approach such as that from Advance to 3DS, then what's to say that they can make a certain collection for a lot of Wii U games bundled together?
Of course, that depends on how much technology and memory we got, because these games, they soak up tons upon tons of memory. So again, I mean, like, the power technology is constantly evolving throughout society. So, and we have like really large data disks now and flash drives and all that. So that could potentially happen. Though another theory that one of my other friends just kind of said is just like maybe the backwards compatibility is just like so that way people don't go throwing out their Wii U's. So it's just another theory, but we'll see where it goes when it comes down to backwards compatibility and battery life. These concerns, we'll find out more about it in this upcoming March.
Yeah, ultimately, I'm not too concerned regarding the whole backwards compatibility, because just like for the access to having all these other third-party games accessible to basically a system that you can take anywhere, that also puts me a little bit at ease.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's see, what else? As far as comparing to the other competition and the other systems that are trying to make their own stand. Like, for one, I don't know what Xbox is doing now as far as Xbox One, but, you know, like, it's just kind of a standstill. I think we can agree that there's nothing much in the development stage there.
The Xbox One, it's just like, I mean, for me at least, I never really followed the Microsoft crowd, but I mean, if I had any, but the Xbox One with all the controversies surrounding it mostly fell off the radar for me. The PS4, it works as a decent console. It's just it's like your standard classic with like a lot of upgraded specs, and they've recently come out with a PS4 Pro.
And not to mention the VR system to hook up with it.
Oh yeah, the VR. Never really was too much into it. I'll look forward to see where that kind of goes. But
yeah, I'm personally excited to get a chance to take a look at VR, not having the availability to it so right now. But So one of my friends is also having a chance to get into the VR system, so I'll be sure to give my own thoughts on that once I finally get into it. But as far as its compatibility, like, as far as we know, I think that even with PlayStation and its chance to have VR games, which has been, like, increasing in popularity, like the HTC Vive and other, like, systems, like the original, what was the other virtual reality, like, prototypes?
Not sure. I never paid attention, so...
Oculus, that's it, the Oculus. The Oculus Rift was the first, like, of the beginning stages of the new VR systems. But as far as that goes, I think the Nintendo Switch just basically has an edge over that, because even though Nintendo hasn't really delved into the realm of VR or some new of those, like, hands-free touch technology like Xbox did with the Kinect, essentially, I think they're just getting an edge over the fact of compatibility and just, like, portable convenience.
Right now, they're just... I think that's... I agree with you, Max. They're, like, sticking with their guns when it comes to just, like... just coming up with these ideas, and for one thing, I love the idea of having, something similar to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I would love to be able to take that on the go, but typically with, like, games of that scale, or of that sort of... with specs of, like, the high resolution and all that, I wouldn't really expect being able to do that. Like, I wouldn't expect being able to, like, take something on the go, but they're doing it.
Yes, and with, like, supposed support from Ubisoft, I would just be amazed for me to get a chance to play some Assassin's Creed at my living room, then having to go to a trip, but then able to take my own Assassin's Creed along with me. I mean, to play Assassin's Creed on a portable device and not be some crappy iPhone app game, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is the Nintendo Switch is definitely opening tons of potential doors when it comes to a library of games. Of course, with every single console, you can have, like, the greatest specs ever, but in the end, it's always the game lineup that's going to matter. What they kind of kick themselves off with, and what kind of games they start cranking out from then. So I'm looking forward to see what kind of library that'll come up with. So, of course, I'm going to be waiting with anticipation and a little bit of grain of salt, just to kind of like temper myself.
Yeah. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I am actually looking forward to getting myself a pre-order for this console once news of it comes out, because as I mentioned earlier, that I haven't been really this excited for a Nintendo console in a long time, and I do have faith about this. I am more of the optimistic side, and it is smart to have a little bit of grain of salt, to be a little bit of curious about this, and maybe a bit cautious. But, I have faith in this console, and it looks very promising, and I just cannot wait to see what type of lineup of games and third-party support that we are given come the next months.
Yep. So, once I get a more feel of the lineup, then I'll probably go and switch over, no pun intended.
Well, I think that's a pretty strong note to go off. Thanks again for coming here.
Glad to be here.
And hopefully I'll be seeing you guys next Monday for another edition of Maxx Monday Mornings. Until then, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of the day.
See ya.